Welcome everybody. Once again, I'm Mr. Laggy. What we're going through today is the Ashes of Creation's node system, which is by far the mechanic that will set it apart from any MMO that has come before, and could also possibly change the direction of their future, as long as it's done well, of course. This is a rather deep topic, but I want this video to provide an overall idea of the system rather than a deep dive into the nitty-gritty. So, if you're someone who wants the nitty-gritty, go to the comments, type nitty-gritty. And if you want something specific, put something after it. But I want to hear from you what your opinion of the system is overall, positives and negatives. What are you excited about? What do you think will happen at Endgame? You know, where are we looking in a year or two when, you know, everything's been established kind of with guilds and allies and locations and such. I want your projections. I think it'll be interesting taking a look at this later on down the road to see how many of us were off the mark. Because I'm hoping I will be. But don't forget to tickle that sub button. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter as well as my Discord. All those links will be below. But let's get started. So you may be asking, Laggy, what's the deal with AoC's node system? Consider, if you will, the MMOs we're all accustomed to. Remember how their progression system takes you through very specific zones set up for a certain level bracket. Monsters, quests, dungeons, everything is in a static location, never changing. For AoC, on the other hand, this will not be the case. See, each of these nodes is a separate living organism unto itself that can be fed or starved, each individually. As players contribute to level up these nodes, it'll change the landscape, and therefore change where the location of all these are and more. I'll explain their limitations in a minute, but consider the possibility of an ever-changing world that can differ on a day-to-day basis, working together with friends to build a civilization or destroy that which others have built. It's pretty exciting. But how much can you actually change the world? Now, we're all used to being provided this static map, right? This is an abstract idea, being able to change the location of where our questing zones are going to be, where our instances are going to, well, most of them are not instance, where our dungeons will be. So how much of this map can we change? So on the whole, there are 118 nodes on Ashes of Creation's map, which consist of the entire map. Now, 15 of these are tied to the castles, which is another topic, but the other 103 are for everyone else to manipulate. So if you're wondering how much of the world we can change, it's the whole thing. Connected to each node is what is considered its zone of influence, its expanse. This influence can grow as the nodes level up. To imagine how this works, let's take the Barons in World of Warcraft. Everyone is doing their thing, making bad jokes while they quest and gather goods. This will provide the node experience over time and level it up. As it levels, its boundaries will expand, overlapping neighboring areas like Mulgore or even Durotar, as its influence is not, well, influenced on water separation. Those nodes aren't lost, however. Some of them can actually be leveled up, as well as have nodes spawn off of them. But the limitation comes from the fact that no node should be able to equal or exceed the level of any adjacent node, therefore stopping the level of expanse you can do. Let's take a quick look at this chart on AoC's wiki. You'll notice that the main node is max level of 6. With 3 level 5 nodes, none of which are touching. Also, the level 4s can't touch the 4s, and so on down the line. But each zone's node of influence, the big colored area, can overlap with lower level nodes, which is like a large level 6 Barons overlapping with a smaller Durotar. These zones of influence will contain your monsters, quests, leveling zones, all of that. And a level 6 is going to contain the capability to level from 1 to 60, which is cap. Getting your node to level 3 is really the first milestone, as it unlocks a number of new functions besides just simply limiting adjacent nodes like levels 1 and 2 will do. So prior to this, your adjacent nodes couldn't exceed your level, but could gain experience independent to your node. So let's take level 1. We're at level 1, adjacent nodes can only be level 0. But once your node becomes level 2, some of those neighboring zones can now level to 1. It isn't until you get to level 3 that the nodes next door are considered enslaved and start contributing experience up the chain of nodes. So if your level 2 node is max level, the experience gained in that node will move up the chain to level 3. If level 3 is maxed, that experience will continue on to the level 4, allowing your progress in the low-level nodes to still matter and to still contribute to the greater good. Perhaps a more obvious benefit of getting your node to level 3 is claiming citizenship of that node and introducing player housing. There will be a wide variety of housing options. From what we know, at this stage they intend to provide rentable apartments, various sizes of purchasable houses, as well as a half-acre plot of land called a freehold. The most exciting, of course, being the freehold, as it interacts with quests, node progressions, your artisan classes, and more, all the while not being instanced. People are going to have amazing looking freeholds, as I'm sure there will be a great deal of rotating cosmetics in the store. My chat did make me concerned about the potential level of clashing cosmetics, however. If you're in the middle of the woods, why is there an altar dripping lava? And nothing else around you that looks the same. This could really take away from the game's immersion and beautiful aesthetic. This could also prove to be a very large cash grab, which always concerns me. Let me know in the comments below your opinion on being able to transmog many different parts of your freehold, making it look disjointed from its surroundings. So the last point I'll bring up is definitely going to be the biggest effect on how these nodes will differ from one another, as well as their impact on the world. So each of the 103 nodes will be designated one of 4 node types that players cannot alter. They are divine, economic, military, and scientific. No one will know what type of node they're leveling up until it gets to level 3, again with the milestone. Then the options will start ramping up. As you level from 0 to 2, you notice more and more NPCs coming to town, and buildings started to grow. Now you can establish a government and elect a mayor that will be responsible for building progression from then on. There are a wide variety of buildings for them to choose from, so even if there's a number of economic nodes on the map, none of them will be exactly the same. Each of the 4 types will provide unique benefits as well to players, so they'll have to make a real yet non-permanent decision as to which type they would like to become a citizen to. As an example, the aforementioned economic nodes will have an auction house, whereas military nodes will give players access to becoming bounty hunters. 2 very different playstyles. More of a PvP versus a PvE game style there. The concern I always have when it comes to player-run content is, will it become a system that is run by the same select few guilds, simply trading off power? Each of the 4 nodes will have a different electoral process for their mayors, only one of which is a popularity contest, so that's good. However, if the majority of people running for mayor are one of the same guild or the guild's alliance, it won't really matter. Nothing will really change. This concern is extended to castles as well. Steven is really dependent on the hatred nerds have for one another for the system to thrive, so for now, I too will depend on it. All this being said, let's reflect on how the system will change our lives. Well, something I've never been really fond of personally is the endgame of most MMOs often revolves around the repetition of dungeons and raids. Now mind you, I haven't played them all, but I've played a bunch. WoW set the standard for MMOs 15 years ago, and sadly, almost nobody has broken out of that format, especially them. My God. And as I think of the possibilities for things to do when level capped, I can't think of a game that would have as much diversity in PvP, at least, as this one. Sadly, there are no battlegrounds, just arenas in AoC, but that's done with the intent to maintain a consistent amount of desire to world PvP. Whether it's to take over your rival guild's castle or destroy their military metropolis, only for you to grow your own there, large-scale PvP should be very prevalent throughout your stay. There are smaller means of PvP throughout the land, as well, that don't necessarily depend on nodes, so I'll link my video to that at the end, so you can see all of your options. But of course, Endgame's not all about PvP. One of Steven's goals is to give the world a sense of grandeur, insisting that fast travel serves only to shrink the world, and therefore the player's experience traversing the planet is going to take some time, and also may take you places you never considered going in the first place. Am I a huge fan of this? If I were 18 again, I would be. Sadly, now I have responsibility in my life, and spending large chunks of my precious game time traveling doesn't sound that great to me. However, I do respect the vision, and I'm hopeful that what is between me and my destination is more than worth it. Nodes can assist in your travels to help alleviate this. For example, if multiple scientific nodes reach the Metropolis stage, level 6, players can take an airship between those two nodes. This will be a more direct route to that spot, and doesn't seem like there will be like a load screen similar to what WoW has when you take their blimp, but this is something we'll have to see as it pans out. Also, the scientific metropolis's superpower, their special ability for reaching level 6, provides players the ability to teleport within its own zone of influence in the lower vassal nodes and back. If we go back to the chart from before, you can go from your 6 to your 3 instantaneously, and from your 3 back to your 6. Leveling, gathering, and just general day-to-day tasks could really benefit from having this. So let's consider now what our PvE folks may deal with. With an ever-changing landscape, the dungeon you went to last week may no longer be there. If that zone was sieged and knocked down to level 1, that dungeon you went to is now gone. I hope this means that dungeons and raids are going to be drastically different in their feel and mechanics based on where you level up. The vast majority of dungeons aren't instanced and therefore can be contested by anybody. So you want to make sure you bring enough allies with you on what could be a potentially very long journey to that next dungeon. So that's the general overview of what nodes are like. Once again, guys, I really want to hear what you have to say about this, where you see this goes in the future. So leave comments below, hit the like button, subscribe to me. I can't wait to get into this. I'll tell you what, once I can scrape up enough cash, I'm going to get myself access to Alpha 2, so that I will be streaming the heck out of this once it comes to that point, which will probably be early next year, early to mid next year. So follow me there. And again, if there's a topic you want to hear about for Ashes that I have not touched on yet, leave that in the comments and I'll start compiling new videos for you. Otherwise, thanks so much, everybody, and you have yourselves a wonderful day.